All right, welcome to week 8. This week we're looking at another kind of sexy topic, which is covert action, which is also an extremely controversial issue. Academics and policymakers often describe covert action as a third way between openly deploying military force and simply doing nothing. This is a controversial issue for a number of reasons. First, the U.S. often denounces covert action when it's aimed at us and our allies and our interests. Secondly, successful covert action absolutely demands that in order to succeed in the long term, the covert action must remain covert. And of course, in today's world, plausible deniability is increasingly difficult to sustain. One thing that will probably leap off the page here is the ambivalence that Americans often express regarding covert action. We've had a couple of periods where the government has resorted to covert action on a more or less routine basis. Obviously, there were some periods in the early Cold War, and obviously in the later Cold War during the Reagan administration. In both instances, the tendency was pronounced when matters of national security were invoked, particularly in relation to Central and Latin America, and particularly with resorts in the Middle East with access to the Persian Gulf. Very frequently exposed covert actions have harmed U.S. administrations' reputations and complicated our subsequent relationships with those specific countries and with the regions generally. The sheer range of potential actions is suggestive of the American government's capacity for engaging in covert actions. And it raises a number of really complicated ethical issues. Should the U.S. covertly fund propaganda efforts in order to advance U.S. interests? Should the U.S. government secretly fund political parties in other countries' electoral processes? Should the U.S. actively sabotage the economy of a foreign government in order to undermine that particular regime in hopes of getting a more friendly regime? Should a U.S. administration seek to employ paramilitary forces to overthrow a foreign regime? How bad does a foreign regime have to be to merit overthrowing? Is it a mere threat to national interest? Or should an unstable nation be a genuine threat to the international order or to our particular national security? We only have 2 assignments this week, the forum and the quiz. I posted an article in the Week 8 resources by Jennifer Kibbe called The Rise of the Shadow Warriors, which provides some additional details on the implications of George W. Bush's administration's emphasis on special operations and on the blurring lines between covert operations, which the CIA runs, and special operations, which defense runs. And of course, defense is increasingly wanting to poach into those areas. So let's have a good week and learn a lot.